Discover the miraculous truth revealed by Jesus on winning the battle of the mind in 40 days. Grace had always been the heart and soul of her village. In this little haven, where the sun dipped low over rolling hills and the scent of wildflowers danced in the air, she radiated faith like a beacon amidst the night. But one fateful day, shadows crawled into her home when her husband lost his job unexpectedly. A thick, dark cloud of anxiety settled over their family, and it felt as if her unwavering faith was on trial. On a sunlit afternoon, as birds chirped in the old oak tree's branches, Grace knelt in prayer. Her heart was heavy, her spirit crushed. "Lord, I need your guidance," she whispered, the wind carrying her plea. Suddenly, the sky darkened. A rustle of leaves swept overhead. It was as if the heavens leaned in, witnessing her struggle. The whispered promises of the pastor about the battle of the mind echoed in her ears, igniting a flicker of hope, a divine reminder that Jesus could part the clouds of despair. As the pastor passionately spoke of strength through faith, something miraculous began to unfold within her heart. The mere act of believing had the power to shift mountains. But doubt brewed, fueled by the well-intentioned words of friends and family. Their skepticism about the effectiveness of prayer crashed like waves against her spirit. Each comment felt like a stone tossed into the pond of her belief, ripples of uncertainty threatening to drown her faith. Undeterred, Grace rallied her church family for fervent prayer meetings. Each gathering was charged with devotion, the air buzzed like lightning before a storm, reverberating with cries for heavenly intervention. They interceded together, pouring out their hearts, igniting sparks of hope in their collective spirit. There, beneath the warm glow of candlelight, she experienced moments that transcended the ordinary. She watched as tears rolled down the faces of others, each drop a testament to the profound grace at work in their lives. Weeks passed as the dark cloud of hopelessness loomed larger. The Sunday morning worship felt different, the music stirred her soul, and worship echoed from the walls of the quaint church like the angels themselves sang. In that moment, the pastor spoke with fiery conviction. "Reclaim your faith. God has a plan for this battle." His message ignited her spirit, and the urge to step forward erupted within her. Just as her trembling foot crossed the threshold, her phone buzzed with a job offer, a miracle too bright to ignore. A bloom of joy surged through the congregation, their eyes brimming with newfound hope. "Praise God!" rang out, filling the air with a sacred energy. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. This victory wasn't just financial, it awakened a divine calling deep within Grace. Inspired by her journey, she felt a pull to start a ministry focused on battling anxiety through prayer, a safe haven for all seeking solace and strength. As she stood before a growing group eager to learn, she felt the spirits of her community united behind her. Yet, amidst the hopeful faces, questions lingered as thick as morning mist. What new challenges lay ahead? Would their faith withstand future trials? With a deep breath, Grace prepared to unveil a new prayer she felt led to share, one pregnant with anticipation yet shrouded in uncertainty. She sensed that this was not merely the beginning of her story but a gateway to something far greater. What lay ahead for her, her family, and her beloved village? The air crackled with anticipation, and all eyes remained fixed on her, waiting for the divine revelation to unfold. As Grace began to gather her thoughts, a profound silence enveloped the room. The candlelight flickered gently, casting long shadows that danced along the walls, echoing the tension and hope within that sacred space. She could feel the weight of their expectations, each gaze a reminder of the faith she had ignited. "Let us pray," Grace began, her voice steady but soft. "Lord, we come before you with open hearts. We seek your wisdom, your guidance, and your strength as we step into this new chapter. We ask to be filled with your peace, casting aside our doubts and fears. The congregation bowed their heads, and a palpable hush fell, as if the world outside had momentarily paused. The atmosphere thickened with a divine presence. It was in this silence that Grace felt a surge of warmth spread through her, a divine reminder that they were not alone. Suddenly, she felt compelled to share her vision. "I believe that God is calling us to create a space, a refuge for those battling with anxiety, just as we have. Together, we will pray, share, and support one another. This is a ministry where we will proclaim the truth that God walks with us through our trials." She sensed a spark igniting in the hearts of those present. Eager murmurs filled the air. "Yes. We need this," one woman exclaimed. Another added, "We can be a light to those who feel lost." The enthusiasm echoed in the room, spiraling into a collective belief that their small village could indeed serve as a sanctuary from the turmoil many faced. Yet, even as her confidence grew, doubts clawed at the edges of Grace's heart. Was she truly equipped to lead others? What if her own struggles overpowered her message? But as she looked into the eyes of her friends full of faith and encouragement, she felt something shift. In that moment, an elderly woman from the back of the room stood, her voice trembling but clear. "Grace, I have walked through valleys too dark to describe, yet here I am, a survivor because of faith and community. You have the Spirit in you to guide us. Do not underestimate the light you carry." Tears pooled in Grace's eyes. God had used this woman's testimony to bolster her own spirit. It reminded her that vulnerability could be an anchor for others, that in sharing her struggles, she could spark hope. With renewed courage, she plunged forward with plans for their new ministry, imagining prayer sessions, workshops, and outreach to those beyond their village. As they began to strategize, Grace felt the thrill of purpose enveloping her. She opened her heart to the new ideas flowing through the group, writing down each suggestion. The laughter, the smiles, the passionate discussions felt like threads of divine fabric weaving their lives together. Days turned into weeks, and the ministry blossomed organically, much like the wildflowers outside their windows. Yet, like the changing seasons, uncertainty lurked around the corner. Was this truly a calling from God, or merely a fleeting dream? What if trials awaited them that threatened to shake their newfound unity? With every gathering, Grace's faith deepened, intertwined with her community's devotion. They became an intertwining tapestry of hope, learning to navigate the turbulent waters of life together. But as the ministry flourished, signs of strife began to emerge in the village. Whispers of dissent filled the air, and rumors seeped into the hearts of some, a stark reminder that spiritual warfare was a constant battle point. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Grace stood at the edge of the woods, praying for guidance. The stillness enveloped her like a blanket, but it was soon broken by a rustling sound. What awaited her on this seemingly peaceful path? Would she have the strength to confront the challenges that were creeping ever closer? The answers seemed to dwindle in the twilight, just out of reach, beckoning her to move forward into the unknown. Grace took a deep breath, her heart racing as the rustling grew louder. She turned, her gaze drifting into the tree-line, where shadows mingled with the fading light. With each step she took, the sound quickened, as if beckoning her forward. "Is anyone there?" Grace called out, her voice steady but edged with trepidation. Silence answered, yet it felt alive with expectancy. In that moment, she sensed a heaviness in the air, tugging at her spirit. Was this just her imagination playing tricks, or was it a stirring from the divine? With her heart pounding, she felt an urging to step deeper into the woods, to embrace the uncertainty. The path twisted and turned, thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. As she walked, thoughts flooded her mind. Would they truly be able to make a difference? The responsibilities weighed on her, especially as the village struggled with division. It was as if a storm threatened to disrupt all they had built together, but then, she recalled the words of the elderly woman, the encouragement that had filled her soul with light. "You have the Spirit in you to guide us." Those words lingered, illuminating the shadows around her. Grace clutched her heart, reminding herself that they were never alone. As she continued, a subtle glow began to break through the trees, illuminating a clearing just ahead. It became more pronounced, revealing an old stone altar, half buried beneath a blanket of moss. It was an unexpected sight, one that immediately filled her with awe. The altar seemed to pulse with a life of its own, resonating with the energy of past prayers and supplications. Grace approached slowly, placing her hand on the cold surface. Tendrils of warmth wrapped around her heart, grounding her in that sacred moment. She closed her eyes, surrendering her doubts, her fears, and the weight of expectations, releasing them into the air like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze. "Lord," she whispered, "I commit this ministry to you. Let us, guide us, and protect us. We wish to serve your will, even amidst these trials. Help us shine your light in the darkest corners." With each word, she felt chains of anxiety loosen from her being. A profound peace began to settle inside, filling every crevice of her mind like a river rushing to a shore. But then she heard it again, a rustle, this time accompanied by a soft, melodic whisper that danced in the evening air. "Fear not, beloved, for the battle is not yours alone." It was a voice both familiar and foreign, inviting her to trust in the divine orchestration of events. Grace's heart surged with hope and meaning, yet confusion also swirled within her. What did this truly mean? What kind of battle would they face? She felt an undeniable urgency to understand. As she opened her eyes, a tiny figure appeared at the edge of the clearing, no taller than a child, cloaked in brilliance that shimmered against the shadowed backdrop. As it stepped forward, an unmistakable warmth wrapped around Grace, igniting an instinctive recognition. "Will you follow me?" The figure beckoned, its voice the sound of gentle waves lapping against a shore. "Truth awaits." Her heart fluttered with both excitement and hesitance. Could this be the divine sign she sought? Would following the call lead her towards not only understanding but also the strength they would need as a community? With one last glance over her shoulder at the village, Grace inhaled deeply, ready to answer the call. She felt pulsing anticipation. What would they learn? What miracles awaited? And so, she stepped towards the light, knowing she was on the verge of a revelation that could change everything. As Grace stepped into the light, a sense of wonder filled her. The tiny figure ahead shimmered with a radiance that seemed both inviting and awe-inspiring. It was as if the essence of hope itself had materialized before her eyes. Every doubt, every concern she had harbored, began to drift away like mist under the sun. "Come," the figure urged softly, extending a delicate hand toward her. "There is much to show you." Grace felt an irresistible pull. With a steadying breath, she took a step closer, entrusting herself to this otherworldly presence. The atmosphere changed as she crossed into the clearing. The air felt charged, tinged with a sweetness that soothed her spirit. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice a mere whisper, breaking the silence that enveloped them. "I am a messenger," the figure replied, their eyes glowing with something profound. "Sent to guide you through the uncertainties of your heart and the needs of your community. Many battles lay ahead, but each one carries the seeds of divine truth and purpose." The words filled Grace with an unexplainable energy, lifting her spirit higher. As she stood there, she began to see images unfolding in her mind, a vision of the village, its people, grappling with doubt and fear. She sensed that they were at a crossroads, a time when unity was crucial, yet fragile. "You see them, don't you?" the figure asked, as if reading her thoughts. "They are seeking clarity. They yearn for the light that you can share." Her heart raced. "But how? I feel so small, so unworthy." The figure smiled gently. "The light you carry is not your own. It is a gift from the divine, planted within you. Follow me, and you will discover how to nurture that light." Just then, the trees around them seemed to sway in agreement, whispering affirmations through their rustling leaves. Grace could feel her faith deepening, igniting a flicker of courage that she had not felt before. With each step, her fears began to transform into a quiet assurance. "Where are you taking me?" she asked, curiosity overflowing as they ventured deeper into the woods. "To a well of wisdom," the figure replied, their voice like the sweetest melody. "It is here that you will gain the understanding needed to guide your people." As they navigated through the thick foliage, beams of golden light broke through the canopy, casting patterns of illumination on the ground. The air was filled with a fragrant blend of blooming flowers and fresh earth, grounding Grace in this spiritual journey. Each breath felt like a prayer, releasing what held her captive. Finally, the narrow path opened into another clearing, revealing a tranquil pond that shimmered under the gentle kiss of the moonlight. Soft ripples danced across the surface, reflecting the celestial tapestry above. The figure gestured toward the water. "Gaze into the depths. What do you see?" Intrigued, Grace approached the pond. As she peered into the still water, images began to swirl, a tapestry of moments, choices, and echoes of her own heart. Each reflection spoke of doubts transformed into faith, conflicts resolved through love, and relationships healed. Tears brimmed in her eyes as she understood these were not just visions, they were glimpses of what was possible if she embraced her role as a leader. "The battle of the mind begins here," the figure said. "You must embrace the truths you see, for they will guide you through the storms ahead." Suddenly, a wave of understanding washed over her, leaving her breathless. This was not merely about her journey but a calling for all, an awakening for every soul in her village. "What must I do?" Grace's voice was steady now, filled with purpose. "Trust in the revelations you receive. Share them, and as you do, the path will become clearer. But know this: every great journey requires faith and relentless perseverance." With these parting words, the figure began to fade like the colors of dusk, leaving Grace alone under the starlit sky. Yet she could feel a presence with her, comforting and reassuring. What will happen next? She pondered softly. How will I convey the truths revealed? As the cool evening breeze wrapped around her, she knew that her story was yet to unfold, each moment brimming with miraculous possibilities. The weight of expectation returned, but now, it was paired with a profound sense of hope and determination. The divine mystery still hovered around her, enticing her to embrace the journey ahead. What would she uncover about herself and her community in the days to follow? The questions lingered, pulsing with potential. Grace stood before the tranquil pond, the shimmering water now reflecting a deeper truth, a mirror to her soul. The figure's words echoed in her heart: "Trust in the revelations you receive." She closed her eyes, allowing the embrace of the night to envelop her. Each inhale filled her with a sweet promise, each exhale released remnants of doubt. "What comes next?" she whispered again, this time with a hint of urgency. The winds rustled softly, as if coaxing an answer from the stillness around her. Opening her eyes, she noticed a faint glow rippling across the pond. Instead of mere reflections, the surface began to swirl with scenes from her village. Faces appeared, some familiar, others not, but all were woven together in a tapestry of longing and hope. The figure had awakened something within her, a calling to lead, to inspire. Suddenly, the air thickened. The serene night transformed, charged with an electric anticipation. Grace felt her pulse quicken. She recognized this moment as sacred. In the flickering shadows, a voice emerged, gentle yet strong. "Are you ready to step into your purpose?" The voice belonged to the invisible essence she had felt since entering the clearing. Warmth flooded her being, instilling a balance between excitement and trepidation. "I am," Grace responded, her voice steady, a river of commitment flowing through her. The pond responded, brightening with splendor, revealing a vision of her community gathered in a circle, their heads bowed in prayer. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sorrow but from understanding. Their hands were clasped, their spirits intertwining in a shared search for light. The message was clear: they were hungry for guidance, yearning for someone to lead them toward a brighter horizon. As she watched, another scene unfolded, a mural of struggle. Families struggling to meet their daily needs, friendships strained by unspoken resentments. The image pierced her heart but also filled her with compassion. Grace realized these were battles she was meant to address, a calling to ignite hope and foster resilience. "It is in unity, dear one," the voice urged. "Cultivate the flame of faith among them. Speak life into their weary souls." Fear pivoted in her gut. What if they don't listen? What if I fail? Remember, the voice said, soothing like a balm on her heart. In moments of doubt, call upon the light within you. It will illuminate the path ahead. You are not alone in this fight. With that, the visions intensified, and she saw a gathering around her, filled with laughter, shared stories, and healing. Each individual encompassed a bright flame, growing larger as they united. Grace felt a spark of hope ignite within her, urging her to believe it was possible. "I will share," she proclaimed, the words bursting forth with newfound determination. "I will lead them toward the light." As the decision settled, the pond transformed again, swirling with colors that shimmered like the dawn breaking over the horizon. The air crackled with energy, awakening within her an instinctive understanding of her next steps. She envisioned herself addressing the village, their eyes fixed on hers, hearts open to the truths she would reveal. "Be faithful in your steps, and grow in your love," the voice reminded her, becoming a gentle whisper, almost like a prayer. Grace took a moment to enshrine this commitment deep in her soul, wrapping it tenderly within her heart. She would not just lead, she would accompany them through the valleys. They would walk together towards a horizon radiant with hope. As she stood at the edge of the pond, the night sky above twinkled like a sea of promises. Yet, beneath the surface of this peace, the pull of the unknown lingered. What were the first words she would speak? How would she summon the courage to carry the torch of revelation into the lives of others? The questions hung thick in the night, teasing at the edge of her understanding. The journey was only beginning, and a world of divine revelations awaited her next steps. Grace lingered by the pond, her heart now a rhythmic drum of determination and anticipation. The cool breeze stirred her thoughts, sending ripples across the water that seemed to echo the tumult within her. She could feel the weight of her commitment pressing down, yet it was balanced by a warmth of hope that enveloped her. "Where do I begin, Lord?" she breathed, her spirit yearning for clarity. The stars twinkled overhead, as if the heavens conspired to offer her strength. Taking a step back from the water, she turned to face her village reflected in her mind, each figure a tapestry of dreams and burdens. As she imagined their faces, a rush of compassion surged through her. She recalled their struggles, the whispered worries shared over idle tea, the burdens worn like heavy cloaks. Feeling their pain physically pierced her spirit, giving her a sense of urgency. "Lord," she whispered, "give me the words they need to hear. Ignite in me the fire that will instill hope." In that moment, she sensed a shift in the atmosphere. The gentle wind began to swirl around her, wrapping her in the light of divine presence. It was as if the air thickened with a promise of palpable assurance that she was not alone in this endeavor. She felt inspired, filled with the clarity to step forward into her role. Suddenly, the voice echoed in her heart again, unmistakably tender yet filled with authority. "Your first words will be an invocation of love. Show them you see them, not just their struggles, but their beauty and strength." Grace took a deep breath, clarity flooding her spirit. She envisioned herself standing in the village square, facing her community for the first time, her voice ringing clear against the morning air. "Friends," she imagined calling. "We stand together in this life, and together, we shall rise." The echo of her imagined words filled her with excitement, and a rush of energy coursed through her. The people she loved needed the same light that had illuminated her soul just moments before. "It is time," she said softly but firmly, urging herself into action. "It is time to gather." With resolve twisting warmly in her belly, she headed home. The moonlight cast a beautiful glow on the path ahead, guiding her steps. How simple yet profound the journey felt, each step a testimony of faith in her calling. She thought of the message she would share, and her heart brimmed with the possibilities. Would they see the beauty in unity? Would they embrace hope like a beloved friend? Yet, as she reached the edge of her village, quiet doubts whispered persistently. What if they rejected her? What if they failed to see the vision she had glimpsed? "Stay grounded, dear Grace," she murmured to herself, drawing on the assurance she felt by the pond. "Trust in the divine rhythm of love." She recalled how the voice had assured her she would not be alone. A sense of peace washed over her, calming her racing heart. There was a divine purpose at work, guiding her every step. With the village in sight, she paused. She could already hear the sounds of night, the laughter of children, the low hum of conversation, and the crackling of a nearby fire. Lighting her fire would mean becoming the spark of inspiration. What would her first light touch? Just then, a flicker of movement caught her eye. A shadow swept across the ground, and the chill of the night returned. Was it a sign or merely her imagination? Her heart raced again as she stood on the threshold of something extraordinary. Would she, armed with faith and love, be able to reignite the flame in those around her? What awaited her on the other side of the unknown? With courage settling around her like a cloak, Grace stepped forward into the embrace of her home, where destiny awaited her call. As Grace stepped into the warm glow of her village, the sounds of laughter wrapped around her like a comforting shawl. She could see her neighbors dancing, the light of the fire flickering against their faces, casting playful shadows in the night. Yet, amid the festivity, her heart beat steadily with purpose. She was here to stir something deeper. "Remember your promise to love," she repeated softly, feeling the words settle powerfully within her. Instinctively, she placed her hand over her heart, grounding herself. The warmth radiating from the fire paled in comparison to the fire she sought to ignite in their souls. She cleared her throat, the noise of merriment momentarily fading into a hush as if the very air paused to listen. Her voice, quiet at first, gained strength. "Everyone. May I have your attention?" Eyes turned toward her. There was curiosity, skepticism, and flickers of hope dancing there. "I have felt the weight of our struggles, the worries that keep us awake at night." Some heads nodded, the recognition of shared burdens evident. The laughter now felt distant, and the tension of their daily lives glimmered in the flickering light. "Together," she continued, "we can rise. Through love, we can heal, and through hope, we can thrive." A small murmur arose in the crowd, a mix of intrigue and disbelief. The shadows of doubt crept back, but Grace pressed on, drawing the warmth of her faith into each heartbeat. "We are not lost. We are not abandoned. Each of you carries an ember of light within you." With each word, she envisioned the flickers of light bursting forth from her neighbors, a collective illumination sparked by the recognition of their shared humanity. She could almost taste the sweetness of connection and see the brightening eyes of those who dared to hope. "Let us gather. Let us share our burdens and celebrate our joys." Grace's voice rang out, firm and radiant. "Let us become a beacon of love in this world, lifting each other as we were meant to." Fingers brushed against each other as children leaned closer to their parents. The air thickened with possibility, and Grace felt a stirring in her spirit, a divine chorus, harmonizing with her voice, but then a familiar shadow crossed her thoughts, twisting with doubt. What if I fail? What if they do not understand the vision I see? At that moment, a star shot across the night sky. It passed swiftly, but its brilliance lingered. Grace closed her eyes briefly, allowing the serene reminder of divine approval to wash over her once more. She was not alone. "Let this be our new beginning," she declared, and with her heart wide open, she stepped closer to the fire, its flames dancing like the joy she yearned to inspire. People started to move closer, some exchanging murmured words, others casting hopeful glances. They were slowly embracing her vision just as she had yearned for them to. Their expressions began to change, tossing aside reluctance for the allure of Grace's flame of hope. A woman with kind eyes stepped forward. "And what if we stumble?" she asked, the warmth of vulnerability threading her voice. "Then we rise again, together," Grace responded, eyes sparkled with an unyielding truth. "We are stronger united. Each time we fall, we will lift each other higher, like the stars guiding the lost." Encouraged by this mutual promise, a ripple of agreement rippled through the gathering. Faces brightened, and Grace felt the strength of connection beginning to weave through her community. Yet, within her, the excitement battled with a flicker of concern. Would this unity withstand the challenges ahead? As her heart swelled with hope, she wove her fingers together and smiled instead of dwelling on fear. In that moment, she realized the real battle was in the mind, battling doubt with faith, like a garden needing nurturing instead of weeds. Let us walk this path, but what will the journey reveal to us? Grace posed the question as an invitation. Behind her, the laughter and joy regained their vibrant rhythm, pulsing like heartbeats in the night. As the flame of hope ignited in her villagers, an even deeper mystery loomed. What awaited them beyond this night? The flicker of the fire illuminated the faces around Grace, revealing an array of emotions: hope, fear, curiosity, and anticipation. They were not just spectators, they were seekers, pausing to ponder the shared journey she had put before them. Grace could feel the atmosphere thickening, charged with energy and intention. It was as though the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for the next move. Let us not just stand here in hopes and dreams, she urged, her voice rising, spacing her words like prayers offered to the night sky. Let us take steps together in faith. What if we set out to seek something beyond ourselves? A deeper peace? A stronger bond? Children giggled, lightening the weight of seriousness with innocent joy. The elders shared knowing glances, and Grace sensed a shift, a warming current melding their hearts, knitting them closer. And what if we found that peace? A young man ventured, stepping forward. His brow furrowed as he spoke. What if we truly connected, discovered truths we've buried deep? Grace's heart soared at his words. She could see the potential sparking in him, his spirit yearning to grasp what lay ahead. Then we will celebrate together. Each revealed truth will be a victory, a light added to our circle, she said, her excitement spilling over like melted wax from a candle. What a beautiful thought! An older woman chimed in, her face alive with the glow of hope. But how do we begin? How do we heal the wounds we've kept hidden? With this question, the atmosphere shifted again, the weight of past pain filling the spaces between them. Grace took a deep breath, her heart a steady drumbeat in her chest. We begin by being brave enough to share our stories, our struggles, our triumphs. Here, we create a safe space where love reigns, unfettered by judgment. The crowd shifted, a wave of contemplation rippling through them. Grace continued, her voice steady, let us gather each week under this moonlight, share our burdens, and support one another. With every story told, we'll honor our fears, our failures, and our dreams. A ripple of agreement spread through the gathering, igniting murmurs of understanding and acceptance. They were like branches of a single tree, swaying gently in unified submission to the wind. Grace could see it, an invisible bond weaving through them, yet a shadow gnawed at the edges of her mind. Will they come back? The question nagged at her heart. And if they do, will they stay? Finding strength, she remembered the warmth of the fire and reminded herself that great changes start in small ways. Excitement surged as she added, each time we gather, a little piece of our hearts will be given. Love will guide us, and we shall tread upon the sacred path of shared vulnerability. What she couldn't see was that her core message had already taken root. Her villagers were absorbing her words like parched earth soaking up the first light rain of spring. As the fire crackled, casting arcs of light upon their faces, Grace felt the divine whisper that had guided her thus far. I am with you, it seemed to say, filling her spirit with peace and courage. Now let us set our intentions for the journey ahead. She called out, lifting her hands. Let us envision what it means to stand together united in love, healing in community. And with that, every heart began to echo her call. Whispers of dreams and aspirations began to rise around them, melodies of hope and love taking flight into the night, but even as they embraced this new beginning, a still, small voice inside Grace stirred once more, filled with wonder and uncertainty. Could the fragility of unshared stories become the source of unexpected strength? As the laughter and warmth enveloped them, an even more pressing question lingered, echoing through the night air. What shadows of the heart still needed to be brought into the light? The nights that followed were bathed in a different glow. Each week, they gathered beneath that celestial tapestry, warmed by the flickering fire and infused with the energy of shared purpose. Grace stood at the center, her heart aglow with the commitment that filled the circle. In this space, they breathed together, sharing their truths, peeling back the layers of their souls like the bark of ancient trees. Each story revealed like sacred scripture, resonating with laughter, tears, and revelations that flowed freely. One by one, they recounted their buried dreams, the battles against uncertainty, and the wisdom gleaned from hardships endured. It was a symphony of healing, notes merging in harmony, desperate to stitch the fabric of their community. As they sat, eyes brimming with compassion, Grace noticed the transformation unfolding within her neighbors. A young woman spoke, her voice trembling but filled with determination. "I always thought my past defined me," she shared, "but with each story, I am learning it's simply part of my journey, not the end. I can choose who I want to be now." Gasps of understanding and murmurs of encouragement rippled through the gathering. With each story told, a sacred pact seemed to form. They weren't just sharing words, they were exchanging gifts of vulnerability. The heavy chains of isolation began to melt away, leaving behind a lighter spirit, one filled with possibility. Laughter rang through the air, the sound tugging at their hearts, knitting them closer as if guided by unseen threads. Grace felt a sense of radiant purpose in her quiet spirit, a whisper of something divine taking root. Yet, with the beauty of connection came the anxiety of what they had each left unsaid. A burden hung in the air, like an autumn chill that refuses to leave. She sensed there were still stories lurking in the shadows of their hearts, stories yearning to be healed, but not yet ready to be heard. As they were encouraged to dive deeper, hesitant faces met hers. Unvoiced fears hung. What if their truths led to judgment? What if sharing those dark pieces splintered their newfound unity? The flicker of the fire pulsated, urging them onwards with its warmth. Then, Grace felt a wave of inspiration wash over her. "What if we created a ritual?" she proposed, her voice steady, bold with belief. "A space to remind ourselves that we are all worthy of love, acceptance, and understanding. Each time we meet, we can light a candle as a symbol of every story shared, every soul healing, and every barrier broken." Excitement spread like wildfire. "Yes. Let us carry these candles home too and light them during storms. To remind ourselves we are never truly alone, no matter the darkness we face." There was electric energy in the crowd as they began to see visions of them embracing their own stories, even the ones masked with shame. Yet still, a deeper question loomed. Grace sensed the shadows still nestled within some hearts, clinging tightly to their secrets. "Together, we can embrace those shadows," she encouraged, her heart racing with loving urgency. "Let us call upon the divine light to guide us and soften the edges of our fears." As laughter broke out anew, a thread of uncertainty tugged at her heart. Would they truly embrace this challenge? Would the flicker of their individual lights overpower the shadows they feared so deeply? With hope infused into her every word, Grace asked, "What wondrous freedom lies ahead if we dare to bring forth the whispers of our hearts?" And as they contemplated that question, a palpable tension hung in the air. In that moment, the night seemed to listen, waiting for them to unveil the next chapter of their journey. What hidden fears were they ready to confront? Would they reveal the most fragile parts of themselves, allowing grace to work its magic? Grace sat in the middle of her village, the flickering flames of the fire illuminating the faces of her friends and neighbors, each one a mirror reflecting both fear and hope. The laughter from the earlier moments had transformed into a serene stillness, pregnant with anticipation. With courage stitched into her heart, she felt it was time to delve deeper into the unspoken stories begging to be told. "Tonight," she began, her voice a gentle melody, "we gather not only to share our joys but also to shed the fear that shackles us. Each of us carries burdens that can weigh us down, but together, we transform that weight into wings. This is a sacred circle, a safe place to share our struggles without fear of judgment." Eyes focused on her, she felt the light of hope igniting in their depths. She noticed a young man swallowing hard, the tremor in his hands betraying a coiled tension. "David, would you like to share?" she gently encouraged. After a heartbeat of silence, he nodded, his voice barely a whisper. "I lost my sister last year. I thought I could bear it alone. I masked my sadness with laughter, but the truth is, I feel so lost." His admission hung in the air, heavy and raw. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Grace felt their hearts thrum together, an understanding that resonated deeply. It was in this vulnerability that healing began, David continued, his words laden with pain yet sparkled with hope. I realize now that keeping it inside has only made the darkness grow. I'm ready to shed light on my grief and connect with others. I don't have to face this alone anymore. With each shared story, tears flowed like rivers, washing away the isolation. The flames flickered in sync with their emotional release, casting shadows that danced like apprentice spirits rejoicing in the truth. The elderly woman from before rose quietly, her voice steady. David, your sister may no longer walk with us, but her spirit can light your path. Let us honor her by embodying the love she gave us. We can help one another carry the memories, the burdens. The warmth radiated through the crowd, uniting their spirits. Grace felt a swell of gratitude wash over her, the atmosphere vibrated with a shared journey of healing. Let each candle, she urged, raising her own, be a symbol of our collective stories. Each light holds an unyielding promise that we are seen and loved, in all our imperfections. One by one, they began lighting their candles, the flames melding into a tapestry of flickers that painted their circle with radiance. But even amid the warmth, Grace sensed lingering fears lurking in some hearts, shadows of disbelief that perhaps the healing wouldn't last, or that reopening wounds could draw blood again. With steady resolve, she said, together, we are stronger. Let us not fear the shadows, let us face them. In our honesty lies the power to heal. As if testing the waters, a hesitant voice emerged from the back. But, what if my story is too heavy? What if it breaks the bond we've built? The doubt hung thick, but Grace's heart raced with conviction. Your story is a piece of the tapestry, she exclaimed. We need your threads, they strengthen the fabric of who we are. When we face fear together, we redefine our reality. Emboldened, another friend, a gentle soul who had always kept to herself, stepped forward. I've been afraid of rejection because of my past mistakes. But I want to shed that fear. I want to embrace who I am now. With those words, a courageous spark began to ignite in others. Deep-seated pain reflected on the faces of those who listened, encouragement flowed like a river. We stand with you, someone called out. You are not alone. The warmth of unity enveloped them, leading Grace to realize, the more they shared, the more they unveiled their true selves, revealing layers of their hearts hidden beneath fear. Hearts aching to be connected, with joy filling her spirit, she realized they were aligned in purpose, a collective power rising, like the dawn breaking after a long night. Together, they were ready to face the unseen battles that awaited them. Let us send a message, Grace declared, her voice lifting in exuberance. We are a community built on love and acceptance. Together, let us rise, support one another, and not retreat to our shadows. Laughter erupted, branches full of leaves danced as if echoing their spirits. Grace could see their burdens slowly being lifted as they began tightening bonds, surrendering doubts, and embracing faith together. Under the glowing tapestry of stars, each candle still flickered in the cool night air, embodying hope for all who gathered. The shadows, once daunting, now loomed lesser as they were confronted with laughter and shared tears. I am grateful for every one of you, Grace whispered, tears brimming with awe. Each story, each struggle brings us closer. Together, we're writing a new chapter, one of resilience, love, and heartfelt community. From this moment, we continue to shine and grow, no matter what challenges may come. The village, once divided, now pulsed with a singular heartbeat, a move toward rebirth. They were carving a new path together, weaving resilience and courage into the fabric of their lives. Let us take this light into our hearts, and into the world. With that, they erupted into cheers, a chorus of unity and faith that echoed like a sweet melody through the night. Their battle of the mind wasn't over, but armed with God's guiding light and the strength of their community, they would face whatever came together. Now was the moment to rise and shine. If you found hope in this story, you need to subscribe now to the channel for more exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to nourish our reach and feed the algorithm. We all need this shared light. Comment below your reactions and testimonies. We want to hear how these moments resonate with you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation of truth and love. Only true servants of God understand the importance of embracing these calls to action.